First up this evening, the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries released an update on rescue efforts in Avoyelles Parish after Tropical Storm Arthur caused flooding from heavy rainfall. LDWF agents say they rescued 86 people and 20 pets from the floodwaters. They worked with Louisiana State Police and first responders in Avoyelles Parish, deploying trucks, vessels, and 2 amphibious track vehicles into the flooded areas. And with that severe flooding causing a varying degree of damage to people's properties, Louisiana Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple is asking residents at home to consider purchasing flood insurance if you haven't already.
If your home was damaged by rising waters and you don't have an NFIP or you don't have private flood coverage, unfortunately, you're not going to have insurance coverage as a result of the floodwaters. You'll have to resort to either, local, state, or federal help once those programs are stood up.
Commissioner Temple is also urging those who are currently looking to file a claim to contact the insurance department with any questions or concerns.